Good evening. Tonight, we're going to be doing some more Frontline, specifically with White Mage this time. More specifically, we're going to land in the Shatter Frontline, because that's what's on the menu tonight. And this time I actually did remember to click the Frontline daily rather than last week, where I just did this specific queue for no reason. Anyway, might as well just get into it. We're trying White Mage because in the past few weeks I've multiple times ran into White Mages that somehow made it very difficult to be me. And instead of complaining about it all the time, it's better to go and see for myself whether it is actually that easy or what. So that is what we're doing. In the meantime, waiting for the queue. Then I can remind that I have a community Discord, which is very open if you are interested. And I will put a link right here. And then the big question is, how long will the queue time be? Sometimes it's going to be 5 minutes, sometimes it's going to be more. Hello Bernard, how are you doing? Yeah, we're just waiting for the queue to start, for the queue to let us into the PvP games. So, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, makes it a little more fun while we're waiting. Guess it might just be that it's going to be 5 minutes. But we'll see. We will see. There's not very much I can entertain you with in the meantime, unfortunately. I don't know, we can talk about the toolkit of the White Mage. Unlike in PvE, so if you're used to playing healers in PvE, or maybe know healers from the old version of PvP where you can just cast a lot of heals, there's a significant difference in how healers work in PvP. Hey Pokeshack, how are you doing? So in PvP, healers can't they're not allowed to just spam their heals all willy-nilly as they please. They have to be very strategic because they tend to have cooldowns on their heals, and in some cases the healing that they can do is relatively weak, so it's more like a detail that you can do that. For White Mage, they actually have the big proper heal with Cure 2 that does heal for like 12,000, which is a very, very significant, especially in Frontline, where everyone takes less damage. The healing is still the same, so 12,000 is still 12,000, but when you have, like, if you heal a melee job, they take 60% less damage, so it's closer to like an effective 25 or 26,000 maybe a bit more than that. It's actually really strong. Apparently, and I completely forgot about this, White Mage can also clear debuffs. Well, one debuff with Aqua Veil. So that's another opportunity to defend a little bit. Now, the big thing is that if we're going to use Aqua Veil, we need to use it either on party members, so that means I need to specifically in the Frontline be in party with the person I'm trying to save, or we're going to be using Aqua Veil probably a lot on myself, because that's the only party member I know for certain is going to be there. Now the problem there is that if I'm stunned, I can't use Aquaveil, so it's going to have to be related to more like slows and such. We also have Seraph Strike, which is just like a melee attack that also comes with an attached heal to it. It's actually very helpful. Now the problem is whether we would want to be in melee range in Shatter. But we might have to, because Seraph Strike and Cure 3 are both very helpful. It's like an extra heal and it's an AoE compared to Cure 2. So we may want to use it regularly. And what we're probably going to be using a lot is a Afflatus Misery. AoE attack, good damage, not that long cooldown, and it's instant unlike Glare, so we're pretty much going to use a Afflatus Misery the instant an enemy is in range to use it on, and then we're just going to hang out and find opportunities to glare at people. And of course, the big cherry on top is Miracle of Nature, which these days has quite short range. But it's the one crowd control in the game where the only counter is to already be guarding when the white mage targets you to use it. And then we of course also have the limit break, which is a 40 yarn long stun. So we can just shoot across the battlefield and hope we hit something. Pokeshack says he's doing excellent. Sunday was my birthday. Happy birthday, Pokeshack. The leader of my free company gave me all the Hades weapons. I just got the Shadowbringer's Hunt mounts and I'm about to raise the Black Mage level 90. And I'm sure that with that they give me a university degree, no? Level 90 Black Mage is like a college career. You could say that. It's very difficult. Healers don't exist in PvP. Only laser stun and miracle of not enough nerfs. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to nerf it again next patch. I think that would be interesting to see. Because they have genuinely, as far as I remember, nerfed Miracle of Nature on every single patch. Like, there's a patch, there's a minor patch. Oh, remember to nerf White Mage in PvP. There's a major patch. Oh, remember to nerf White Mage in PvP. And it's always like something small, like, oh, we reduced the time on Miracle of Nature by 1 second. We reduced the stun on Afflatus Purgation by 1 second. We reduced the range on Miracle of Nature by 5 yards. Like, repeatedly. And because it's not that much, it doesn't, like, change anything massive, but it changes a little bit. Are we going to engage? Stay aware so we don't get snuck up on too hard. I feel like my team is going into a little bit of an awkward spot maybe. Oh, yellow is on both sides, so they're split up. Ah, I hoped I could snipe someone with that. That would have been really funny. Oh wait, we killed someone with that. Excellent. Now we're in a bad spot. I could probably have added a lot of value by simply attacking the crystal as well, but I wasn't. I was more aiming to disrupt. Kill the monk! Ah. There was the guard, then maybe not. Okay, we got them. We got another one. Ow. Oh, that's a lot of people. Okay, we did not get an assist on that either. Need to be careful. Because I have heals that I can just throw out, I completely forget that I have the regular healing as well. Ow! Got a little too greedy there. Someone marked something, but I guess it was a few minutes ago. So Pokeshack, how are you enjoying Black Mage as you're making your way to level 90 with it? Who can we save? We're a little, we're really heavily getting pushed back, I feel like. Can I heal this person? I can. I can shield this person. Can't help you. Yeah, boy. Excellent. We got someone. I need to attack more. My healing will be better if I get some battle high. Oh, nice. I guess we confused the Dark Knight too much for him to be able to use his limit break correctly. We're getting split up again. Oh, I straight up killed them. Oh, we're getting attacked from two sides. Wait, where's that person? I will heal you. There we go. And this is not where you go. Oh boy. That's a lot of damage. Are we going to be okay? I think we are. Pokecheck says, I enjoy it a lot when I don't need to move and when with the pulls. But my brain hurts when I begin to move because I lose normally the Enochian in Astral Fire state. I want to use 3-5 Force and all the time, but I can't. And that's true, you'll have to figure out when there is an opportunity to use, like, to do that, and when there isn't. Sometimes, if there's a lot of movement, you may have to just use an extra, like, bonus Fire 1 to make sure that you don't lose your buff. But of course, to be able to do that, you also need to be aware enough to do that before it's too late. Ah, okay. Ninja limit break. Can't help you there. Run before you drop below 50%. We don't want to see that. Well, oh, they're dealing with red. That makes very good sense. But we're going to be sandwiched in a moment. Either sandwiched or cut off. I don't know which is worse. Can't help them. I should not have risked that. Wait, it's really hard to get anything done right now because every time we try to go forward, the other team just pushes us back. I don't know why both teams are ganging up in front of us like this. I really don't know. Yes, let's have a shootout in front of the losing team so they specifically can't get anything done. I'm not sure what I actually hit that gave me an assist, but it seems I got something. Oh, well, I tried. That looks like a limit break waiting to happen. It wasn't, but I wasn't gonna risk that until it was safe. Yeah, that's true, Pokecheck. That it's also really hard to find gear like with spell speed on it to be able to get the kind of speed that you'd want to have as a black mage. Now that was extremely overkill by me. Yeah, someone's marking. Hello, Jonathan. How are you doing? You asked, do you sometimes find yourself lagging or taking front-loaded damage that you can't see or react to? Well, often if you get hit by a lot of things at once, it can feel a little bit like that. That it's like everything just hits you at once and there's nothing you can do about it. One really good example is I think the best example is actually what we just saw now, is that right here at the end I suddenly took like 10,000 damage and didn't see what it was, and then the animation from the white mage laser beam came from behind me. So my best guess is that it looks like that because a lot of attacks do the damage first and then the animation. So if a lot of spells are put on top of each other, it looks like you take like your full health bar immediately before you even get an opportunity to see it. That's my guess, but it could be lag. But I feel like the most times I experience sort of what you're describing, Jonathan, is when I get hit by a lot of things at once. Like everything drops at once, and then it feels like, well, I didn't see that many things hitting me, and then I die. So I can see what you mean, but then I think it's just Final Fantasy XIV weirdness as it is, and then the fact that attacks... Yeah, exactly, Bahamut. The worst part is that if you see someone... Like, if you see the Bahamut start appearing, it typically means... It's very likely that you've already been tagged. Like, if you use guard now, you're still taking the full hit. Yeah, so that's also really awkward, but it's better that it works like that rather than being inconsistent. So at least it's reliable that if someone clicked the button and you weren't guarding in that time, then you can't guard in the middle of it. That's alright, Jonathan. I hope you're having a nice evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Don't get discouraged by that. Knowing when is safe to approach in Frontlines and Crystalline Conflict is part of learning the match, or like the game mode. And sometimes the enemies decide that you die specifically, like they put someone marked you. Let's see, Pokejack said, when I'm in the Umbral Ice state, I lose it because I want to use Thunder procs every time, or Xenoglossy, but I need to reserve it for movement. But with Umbral Soul, the problem is less of a problem. Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, but you can just use Umbral Soul to make sure that it stays up if you need to move. And Pokejack says, I know spamming Scathe or Umbral Soul for movement is a loss of damage, but I still need to practice. Of course, but it's still a bigger loss of damage to drop Umbral Ice or Astral Fire than it is to miss a single cast when you're learning. And Pokejack says Vanaspati spam begins. See you later. Alright, Pokejack. Good luck with your Vanaspati groups. It's a good dungeon. I did that many times. It's just a shame that the final boss has a graphical error for some PCs where like they literally can't see the graphic that explains one of the primary mechanics of the boss. They can't see it on their screen. I'm not sure what causes it, but I've heard multiple people have this problem, and that's why sometimes if you're doing Vanaspati that people are just quote-unquote letting themselves get hit. Because they can't actually see the mechanic. Anyway, more Frontlines. Now, last time I spent a lot of the match just frantically running around trying to find people to heal and regularly realizing that I was looking for people to heal more often than I had heals to give. So this time, let's see if we can be a little bit more DPS healer and a little less healer. Maybe we can get a higher battle high then. The advantage with White Mage having a Flatus Misery is like, in the old PvP, one of the problems with healers was specifically that healing someone did not mean you get credit for anything. If they killed someone and you healed the person that was killing them, then you don't get anything. So if you don't have any area of effect attacks, it's nearly impossible to actually get anything done in terms of getting battle high as a healer. But now, in most cases, healers have some sort of AoE attack, which means that if the healer just like looks away from healing for just a moment, to swipe at like the general enemy population. I think I might have gone the wrong way. Oh, what? Oh, it's up on the bridge. My bad. Can we get back up there in time? The scary part is whether yellow is going to intercept us or we're going to intercept yellow. Surprise! But yeah, because you can just as a healer cleave enemies, just like hit all of them in general, that means that you're not going to lose out on assists by actually performing your support role. And I think that's better. I can't remember how big of an issue this was in the old PvP, but certainly it's not great when healers have to stop healing, specifically to perform, like to actually participate in the match like that. Jonathan asks, any jobs you feel need to be reworked or changed for PvP? I personally feel like Machinist having their key abilities in a 4-on-1 feels off to me. I feel like it's actually extremely fitting for Machinist to have that, because Machinist is supposed to both be like a gunner job, but simultaneously also be like a gadgeteer kind of job. And having this like wheel of different gadgets that you need to play around means that that it gets that feeling. It also means that they can compensate for some of the buttons being bad by making some of the buttons particularly good. For instance, drill, I would say, as like just a button you could press whenever, would be incredibly overpowered. The fact that you need to go up and use Bioblaster, and you need to find something to use Air Anchor on, and also to use Chainsaw on before you can get to it, sort of balances that out, so that it is less insanely overpowered. At least to me. And yeah, the gun feels very, very underwhelming, like the basic attack, but fortunately, this applies for pretty much all jobs. Every job needs to have a basic attack that you're just using to to fill the empty space between all your cooldowns. But if your best button isn't available very often, it does certainly feel feel even worse. I guess that's what you're getting at. But personally, I don't feel like there's, not off the top of my head, there's not any job that is particularly wacky in PvP. I'd say that me playing White Mage right now, Miracle of Nature needs to change. I don't care what they do about it. whether they give the White Mage like 2 other things to compensate for losing Miracle of Nature, that would still be kind of fair. Also, this is a bit insane. Jonathan says, comparing it to Black Mage, it feels so well thought out. Also Dragoon. Yeah, I can see what you mean with Dragoon. It has like a perfectly built toolkit for exactly what it intends to do. It feels like, how should I say, it feels a bit like Machinist is trying to do a lot of things at once. Which is still sort of fitting for the job, that it's trying to be a little bit of everything. Because that's sort of a... Do you know... so, I think most people, when they see Machinist, they think Gunner. Which is very logical. I can't imagine anyone that wouldn't think that. Also, I just want to point out there, just click Miracle of Nature and the warrior went from being able to do something to do nothing and then just immediately died. Not that they weren't going to die anyway, but Miracle of Nature is really strong. But the fact that the Machinist is supposed to be both the gunner job, but also the like the Final Fantasy XIV equivalent to a gadgeteer or something similar, means that it should really have some like weird tools. I can't remember how many Final Fantasy games that have the gadgeteer job style, but certainly in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, I believe it was. I can't remember if it was in Tactics in general. Gadgeteer was like, if you think any job in Final Fantasy XIV is controlled by randomness, then I would like to introduce you to the gadgeteer of FFTA. The entire job gimmick is that it can use a spell that will do something for either your entire team or the entire enemy team. Which can be something like everyone on your team gets haste, or everyone on the enemy team gets haste, or everyone on your team gets doom, or everyone on your enemy's team gets doom. Which doesn't sound too overpowered, although doom does sound absurdly unfair. Now the problem is that Gadgeteer did that randomly. Like, you choose this crazy action, like give either team Doom, and then you flip a coin, and that's who gets Doom. And that's where it starts getting really funky. Oh, Monk. You know what, that's actually a good point. Me personally, whenever I've tried Monk in PvP, it feels like you can only do like 1 or 2 things. Feels a little limiting. But I know that there are people that enjoy it that way, that they actually enjoy the way that Monk is constructed, that the fact that you can only do so like a couple things also means that you're going to be pretty good at doing that 1 or 2 things. Which is also reasonable. Like, people when they pick up Monk for the first time in PvP, I think tend to like get really focused on the fact that the way to get the biggest burst out of the monk is to use like to go like flip through your entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 combo and then like drop everything on your target with the 7 so you get that 10,000 hit. But in reality, what monks tend to thrive on, I feel, is the fact that the amount of power they have in being able to just, from out of nowhere, they can knock back you and then drop their limit break on you immediately after. That does like, I think it's like 30 or 40,000 damage. I actually think it, if I remember correctly, they can instantly kill a like a red mage or a black mage if you don't guard at the correct time. And that kind of power costs that they can't do many things. It feels like they are like very one-track mind. Although in Frontline they have one extra gimmick in that they can just boot someone off a cliff. Jonathan says that Doom mechanic sounds like a cool, I'm guessing you mean Crystalline Conflict idea? Or... But the thing is that Machinist in Frontline hardly has much like randomness in it. The only randomness it really has is Chainsaw. And I would be inclined to say that while it isn't a coin flip and it doesn't have an opportunity to backfire, if you hit Chainsaw on the enemy team and just one person gets triggered with that chance effect, that is able to like flip a losing match to a winning one. Or just ruin the opponent's chance entirely from like turning the tide. Yeah, exactly. It's a it's just, oh, there's a chance that everyone you shoot Chainsaw at just flat out dies. And I think that Machinist having its 4 like signature tools in Drill, Bioblaster, Air Anchor, and Chainsaw is the correct way to do it. That you have all 4, that is the correct way to do it. But if they wanted to make it so that you just had all 4 on speed dial, so that you could use any one of them, like you just had 4 buttons, then the only way to make that fair is if they had all 40-second cooldowns. Then the Machinist wouldn't have any extra buttons compared to what they would usually have. But you would not get more drills than you normally would. The only difference would be that you could use all 4 things instantly and then nothing for 40 seconds. Hey Leon, how are you doing? And Jonathan says, compared to buffed Drill or Bio with Rook Turret out. Yeah. Well, the way I see it is that I think that Machinist would feel worse somehow if they had just given you all 4 tools and then put in like an obscenely long cooldown on them to make it fair. I think it's better that it is this way, where you like make your way through them. It also means that it gives the opponent some sort of special counterplay, because not only you and your team can see which tool the Machinist is on, your enemy can see it. In Crystalline Conflict, you can look at the opponent's Machinist and see that, oh, they have Drill ready, which is really important. But in Frontline, you need to target the Machinist to do that, which gives the Machinist some sort of advantage. And Leon says, doing fine, ready to chill out after my final classes. Oh, is it Christmas holidays time, Leon? That's awesome. And hey, Gilano, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, the reason why drill in both Crystalline Conflict and Frontline, to be honest, is so important that everyone can see it, is because there are very few attacks that can hit through guard. Like, shockingly few attacks that can hit through guard. And drill is probably the strongest one that isn't flat out a limit break. So being able to know that for your enemy in Crystalline Conflict makes it a little more fair that it can do that much damage through a shield. That's how I feel. I like Machinist in Crystalline Conflict. I've had more trouble with playing Machinist in Frontline, or at least feel like it, because you don't really know when Marksman's Spite is a kill because of the inherent damage reduction everyone has. It makes it very difficult to know for certain. Actually, I was wondering, Gilano, is that how your name is spelled, or is it different? I can't remember if I've asked about that before. Jonathan says ninja limit break is super tilting. That is why in Frontline, you pretty much, if you hear the sound of a ninja, it doesn't matter what it is, you hear the sound of ninjutsu cast, the sound of its attacks, anything at all, you have to check your health bar and go, do I have over 50% health? Do I have over 50% health? Because if I don't, I might as well be dead. Because the ninja is looking. The moment someone's health starts dropping close to 50%, the ninja just goes, for me? And starts targeting you. Starts throwing the Huma shurikens and stuff. To try and keep you there, try to force you to check, do you have any heals left? Because if I throw a shuriken at you, there's a higher chance you're going to click heal stressfully because you're scared of me. But if you don't have any heals, you're not going to do that. So it's like a test. Because if they use limit break on you in the same frame that you use a heal, their limit break goes to waste. And they don't want to do that. So they'll try to bait you into wasting it. And Janano says, that's correct. Okay, excellent. Just wanted to be sure. Sometimes with certain names, it can be extra hard to know exactly if I'm saying it right. And I do care about that. And wow, we're getting massacred right now. And yeah, I know you're Aradel in game. I'm glad to hear you're doing. Ah, I was so close. Wanted to help them so bad. Can we get anyone? What? Uh-oh. I think my team is going to die. Like, really, really hard right now. Like, we're spread apart. Heal him. Save him. Jonathan says cries in Black Mage. Oh yeah. 22,000 drill out of nowhere. Oh. Well, I didn't want to have half of my health bar anyway. But yeah, that's exactly it. Could you imagine if Machinists could just choose which one of its 4 tools it wanted to use at any time? And then could just like go, oh, I'm gonna use drill now. I have a feeling that if you didn't have to go like through the list, there's probably a lot of machinists that would just use drill. Surprisingly, using drill twice in a row would be way more devastating than using it just once. So I feel like, on one hand, drill would still be balanced if you just had it as a separate button, like every single one of your 4 tools was a unique button. But it feels better, like by design, it feels a little better when you give it as like a wheel like that. It feels right. Also because all of those 4 attacks are actually performed with the same gun. Like you pull out this multi-tool with 4 different barrels on it, you could say. All 4 of those is drill, bioblaster, air anchor, and chainsaw. So it makes really good sense aesthetically that you make your way through it like that. And Jonathan says, I'd like to thank you for the Red Mage level 50 guide. I've been trying to wrap my head around it. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that it was helpful. Yeah, Red Mage is like the kind of job where its toolkit is not like too complex, but just learning the basics can be hard. I used to recommend Red Mage for new players when they reached level 50 if they were having a hard time. Specifically because it's not too complex. So if you can just learn the basics of the job, and I'm there to teach them, so I know I can make sure that they understand the basics, then they don't need to learn too many small intricacies compared to certain other jobs. But I can totally see how it would be very difficult to start on. But I'm really glad to hear so many that found my Red Mage guide helpful. Because I have in the works to remake many of my guides that I made like over a year ago actually. So that they're nice and up to date and look very nice. Oh, Sage limit break. Well, I'm just gonna stand in that. I think. Does it count if I'm not in the party? It does not. Interesting. Ah. That guard timing. I don't think we'll catch up with that summoner. Or maybe we will. I'm not going to chase past yellow like that. That's no thanks. Did they just teleport? What happened? Did you guys see that? Jonathan says, I felt like easing into Black Mage in Palace of the Dead was more inviting compared to Red Mage. I think Red Mage is a job that is designed specifically to function at level 50, which means when you get downscaled below 50, there's going to be a lot of weirdness with the job. Where you're missing things that you're supposed to always have. And stuff like that. So I wouldn't recommend learning Red Mage by scaling down in Palace of the Dead at least. Like, you can do low-level dungeons to like get the toolkit introduced gradually, but I think it's one of those jobs that feel really awkward if you're not level 50. Like, when you get scaled down, you still need to understand the basic toolkit of the job already to understand how everything works. And Jonathan says if there are somewhat similarities to the proc system of Bard at level 70. Well, the good news are that the random factors of the Red Mage are significantly less impactful in the grand scheme of things compared to Bard. It's more like a damage boost rather than a major overarching mechanic that you really need to respect. And since you know when the procs are coming, as Red Mage, they're coming after specific spell casts, you can prepare for them. You know that either they are coming or they're not coming. And you're never going to have to react to a proc in the same moment that you get it. Because the procs are fast spells, and you only get the procs from slow spells. You're a plant now, Dark Knight. I don't want to mess with that. Shoo. Oh, here comes the yellow team. Hey. Yeah, I would recommend if you're having a little bit of a hard time with the Red Mage toolkit, I would highly recommend finding a striking dummy somewhere and just practicing the basics. That's the way I feel is a very healthy way to go about it. And if you don't have anywhere where you know there is a striking dummy, then there is always striking dummies at Summerford Farms in Lanacea. I see a lot of people use those. I don't think it's the only place you could feasibly find some striking dummies to practice on, I mean. There we go. But if you're a Bard main, Jonathan, then I have a feeling that you will find it. Well, I guess it's the Red Mage RNG is closer to your heavy arrow or burst shot, heavy shot tool or ability, weapon skill is the word, than the repertoire, I suppose, just with higher proc rate. We need to get out of here. We're getting crunched by yellow from the side. That short range on Miracle of Nature actually is very effective at making it not very helpful a lot of the time. I think blue team is winning this one. Yep. Pokeshack says, I just realized that the bard, that is the musician, has an addiction. Gambling. He suffers from compulsive gambling. Oh wow. Yeah, because of all the randomness inherent in the job. Yeah, I can see that. I can see what you mean there. Yeah, actually, because of how they have reworked how repertoire works in Endwalker, I would say that Dancer feels like the more heavily RNG random job of the two. That's a funny story to talk about. Before Endwalker, the way that the bard's repertoire mechanic worked, which is repertoire is the name of the effect when your song activates. Like, you use the song and then every 3 seconds there's an 80% chance that X happens. Where Mage's Ballad is, the cooldown on Bloodletter is pushed forward by 7.5 seconds. Army's Paeon is you get some more speed, attack speed for the rest of the song. And Wanderer's Minuet is you get a stack, and when you have 3 stacks, you should use Pitch Perfect for a big hit. That's how it has always worked. Or always. It has worked like that for a long time. There was a time a lot, like way back when, where Mage's Ballad was like a raid-wide super mana region, for instance, which is why it's called Mage's Ballad, because it was, you know, a mana song. However, before Endwalker, the repertoire itself, like the act of activating the repertoire, was actually not tied to the song. Every time your dots ticked, there was, I believe it was a 40% chance to activate. Which means that if you put Caustic Bite and Storm Bite on a mob, every 3 seconds, there was a, well, you would roll, you know, you could say a 5-sided die, because 20, 40, 60, 80, 100% a 5-sided die, and 2 out of the 5 options, you would get a repertoire activation, and then you would roll another 5-sided die and check again, and well, basically, if you had both dots up on the boss, you threw 2 5-sided die, and that meant that in 1 tick you could get 2 procs. For Wanderer's Minuet, great. For Army's Paeon, nice. For Mage's Ballad, because Bloodletter used to not have a charge system, it actually just meant nothing. It just meant nothing. You just lost out on one of the activations, you could say, because only one of them could be activated, right? But like statistically, it was very fascinating. I think in my Shadowbringers Bard starter guide, I actually explain this in a crucially minute detail, like, because since the dots themselves controlled whether or not you got repertoire stacks, if you were using Mage's Ballad, the amount of Rains of Death you could cast during Mage's Ballad was directly tied to how many dots you had up. Which of course means that if you had 2 dots up And remember, you had to apply the dot single target, so that means you would, on AoE, dot up one person at a time. Or one target at a time. Ow. But that meant that suddenly the question was, how many dots do you need to apply to, on average, be able to use Bloodletter in every OGCD window? Like, could you single wave Bloodletter after every cast? And that was mainly the interest in, like, spreading dots. Was how many procs you could get. If I remember correctly, the sweet spot was 7. I think it was 7. Yeah, that looked like a whoopsie. That was like... that wasn't even a samurai whoopsie. That was just... everything from a team dropped on me at once. And that's what I was thinking of the other matches when I talked about getting sandwiched or being scared of going in when the pass was surrounded by the two other teams. Because either you're winning that exchange or you're dead. Because you have to push somewhere and you have to push really fast before the enemy behind you pushes you. Oh, that's far away. The screams of agony. Ah! Yeah, I think, while we're on the subject of the old repertoire system, I think I've heard some bards complain that they feel that the new way, where you just get the repertoire stacks inherently from the song, is like super dumbed down, and they don't like it like that, and I understand that. But personally, I don't really find multi-dotting in AoE fights super entertaining, and the speed at which AoE packs are dealt with in Final Fantasy XIV also means that it's not like a meticulous, like I'm gonna dot up this one and this one and this one. It's more like a frantic dot up things before they die kind of situation, which is not that interesting. Like, you're not trying to dot up everything, you're just trying to apply dots before things are dead or too close to die for it to be worth it. I could have hit a lot more targets with that. We're still learning. Oh boy, yellow's coming. we don't want to fight anything up in that corner, guys. Oh. Okay, apparently we took over that corner. I don't know what we're going to do with this corner that we have now won. Aside from just killing all the yellow team that hasn't realized that time's up. Oh, we're getting attacked from behind. Now we're getting sandwiched again. It's really bad. Can I cover an escape route with this? Maybe. I think that was a really good limit break. Our base is being stolen. That was a really smart move that confused us at the exact time where we don't want to get confused. Oh, now it's getting a little dangerous again. Very dangerous again. Is this the main feature of the White Mage limit break? Just denying advances from the enemy after you did do yours? That might be a strategy. We might be onto something here. Like every time one of the other teams tries to sneak up on you, you can just say no. We don't actually care that much about fighting the enemies now. We mostly just want to shove them out so that we can get dips on the big crystal because we're that far ahead. That's the reason why I chose to specifically approach blue team with that is because blue team is closer in points. So if we're just going to throw a limit break out there at someone, then it's better to throw it at second place than third place. How well did I do? A very mediocre performance, but that's okay. You look at the heal. Oh, the thing is that I am pretty confident. Like, how much healing did I do? Was it actually a lot? Let's see. I can watch the playback. Healing restore, health restored. Now that was also like 400k. I actually healed for less than I did. Or less than I took in damage. But one thing that it does not count on the scoreboard is like crowd control. And sometimes the value of crowd control is entirely dependent on when it is used. F for the not whoopsie parts. Indeed. But hey, we have a positive first place score tonight. Like, we've had 2 wins. It's pretty good. I think White Mage is actually a really good job to introduce you to healing in PvP as well, because White Mage is given all of the healing tools that you could ever possibly want in PvP. Like, of all the healers, I'm pretty confident that White Mage very well might be the best at... Oh. Oh no. Everything's activating. But it's very likely the best at, like, offering you the ability to heal. Like, of all the healers, White Mage is the one where you could most feasibly just hang back and heal people repeatedly. And what you could quickly discover as a healer is that a lot of the time, choosing to cast the heal isn't even worth it in the first place. It's better to just, like, focus on something else, like attacking. The reason why I think that's really healthy is because if you play, like, Scholar first, you will likely feel like your the presence of your of Adlocurium, which heals for very little, and actually honestly shields for very little as well. It feels like you're a little... It's a little pointless, because you can't save anyone with that. You can't really do very much with that. And similarly with Sage, the largest amount of healing that Sage can do, or will do, over the course of a fight, I believe, is with its Cardia, which heals for like 2,000, I think, every time you attack. So you're feeling like you have to go out of your way to, like, toss that around on people, but technically, if you just put it on yourself, then Sage is like a pseudo Paladin, because Paladin heals so much as just a side, like, byproduct of them attacking. So Sage is just like a different, like, build of the same kind of idea as a Paladin, but you need to play a healer and actually play it as a healer to realize that you don't have to be a healer just because you chose a healer job. That was not very well angled, but I guess maybe we could scare some of them away with that. Oh, we're getting sandwiched again. And I don't have my limit break for it this time. That was the mistake. I should have kept it. We now know why. We have realized why I should have kept the limit break. We would have been able to much more easily just detach ourselves from this exchange if I had kept my limit break for the escape. Now we made the discovery. First, we find out that it's very helpful to sometimes use the limit break, specifically on the escape route. Now we see what happens if we don't do that. So now we have limit break again, and I just realized that I am not on the correct UI setting, I think. Nope, that is not the correct one either. This is the one. Couldn't see my limit break bar where it was supposed to be. Oh, this is bad. No, better that we die when we're on 12 battle high than 30 or something. And Pokeslick says, for campaign in general. Oh yeah. Wait, is that your campaign in general, Pokeshack, that you were listing? I actually, like a week or two ago, I played a few matches of ranked Crystalline Conflict, specifically because I don't think I'll like put in a lot of time of doing ranked Crystalline Conflict on stream. I feel like people find it how should I say it? It's more entertaining, like it's better for just like casual hangout stream, like chill stream, to do Frontline, and I prefer doing it that way. But I don't want to drop down to bronze. So I did a few matches to make sure that I don't drop down to bronze because you didn't do any PvP. Ow. I'm not sure what this person is thinking that they can do 1v1ing me. Nice. You pretty much had me. Why did you give up? That looks like a limit break. Or maybe not. Well, I think a ninja accidentally used a limit break on the Dark Knight. That really sucks. But I think literally everything that could go wrong on that ninja limit break was in effect, because the Paladin was also covering that Dark Knight. So it would just not have worked. And Pokeslick says, after that Paladin Tuesday, you never come back to Crystalline Conflict. You become a Frontline enjoyer. Well, maybe. I started focusing on Frontline mostly because I had the feeling that that we had reached a point in the season where Crystalline Conflict just wasn't really happening anymore. But Frontline is always happening, simply because there's a daily attached to it. I think we're losing this match. We're very far behind. That was really nice. I just saw a random Dark Knight pull in and thought, looks juicy. I think I'm gonna limit break that. But I also think that, so when I started doing Crystalline Conflict streaming, I played exclusively like Red Mage, because that was the job that I had the most experience with. So there was like a heavy emphasis on trying to be really good, like to perform, to show off that like how like to do extremely well on stream. And then it started becoming more a matter of like trying out different things by trying different jobs. And in some capacity, you could say that it's not super fair to the rest of the team who are all trying to climb in rank, that I just randomly switch to a different job every week so I perform poorly, even though I have a high rank or don't have a high rank. But in Frontline, I can do whatever I want. It's only a matter of losing this one match, and then we're on to the next one. Everything that we lose right then. No one is going to lose MMR or anything. So it's just it's a lot healthier if we're just here to have fun. To play Frontline matches. Ha! We had 2 white mages that was looking at the same paladin there. I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish right now, but it seems that there's a crystal way, way far away that people are fighting over. But yeah, I think that that Frontline lends itself far better to a situation where you just want to have fun with jobs. Like, how should I say it? If say I wanted to make like a weekly stream where I do like a bunch of PvE content, specifically like with a plan, then what I think most people would think is the obvious thing to go for is oh well, surely you would do Savage content then, right? You would do like an extreme, the current extreme, maybe do the Savage raid clear, weekly clear, maybe progress ultimates or something. Maybe with a static, that makes it even more exciting, because then you're 8 people messing around in voice chat. But given that I don't do that, I don't have a static, then it would be Party Finder. I would think that what would be more exciting, like would be more fun as like a casual viewing experience, just, you know, a chill stream, would be to, I don't know, like just spam mentor roulette. I think that would actually be hilarious. Now the problem is that I'm missing 3 encounters on extreme to do that, so I would have to do that first. But if I get that one day, then I might just make a mentor roulette stream. So we just do mentor roulettes for like 3 or 4 hours. That can be really, really silly, because you can get almost anything. You just queue up and then you get extreme Ifrit or something. I had mentor roulette and then Endwalker came out. And Pokeshak says, yeah, but I only say that when you play Paladin and you can't enter in Crystalline Conflict ranked match after. I don't remember that time. That then that's that, and after that we have Frontline Tuesday. Yeah, exactly. Basically, that Paladin evening, I came to the conclusion that because previous sessions we've also had like really long queue times sometimes, and then it just reached the breaking point on the Paladin stream where we had no queues for like 30 plus minutes. Like there was just nothing. And then I don't want to do that. Like if I put a tag on a stream that we're doing something specific, I'll try my best to do specifically that. And that means that if the average queue time for Crystalline Conflict is 30 minutes, then that means that we're spending over half of the stream just sitting here. And while that's not really a big issue for me, like if you guys have something interesting you want to talk about, then we could do, like, we could have a stream of doing literally nothing, because we could just talk about whatever. But I think that there's a significant amount of people that... oh, there's a crystal up north. There's a significant amount of people that hop into my stream just based on how many YouTube says are viewing, compared with how many are talking, that I'm imagining that there's a significant amount of people that like to have the stream on in the background as like some background noise, and while having someone just talk in the background can be nice. I think part of it is also having something a little interesting happen that you can like, like if something particularly exciting is happening, you can like, ooh, what's going on over there? And like turn, look at that, or change tab or whatever have you. But if I'm just sitting there talking, because that's embarrassing. That fall is so long that you really get some time to think about what you've done as you make the drop. I didn't really pay close enough attention to that machinist. And that's my mistake. Is that crystal? Okay, it is down in the depths there in the chasm. But yeah, at the very least I would like to do something as we're hanging out. And that doesn't really work if the average queue time is 30 minutes or more. That is the weirdest angle. I'm pretty sure I didn't point that way with my target. I don't think we can kill him. There's not that many people actually targeting him. But I don't know. Did people find like do people prefer to have like a Frontline stream on, or a Crystalline Conflict rank stream? I don't know. I have stated previously that I felt like people were more it seemed like people were more interested in Frontline streams because it's more relatable. It's more likely that that it's something you can see yourself doing. Like if I'm doing Crystalline Conflict, I might be, you know, gold or platinum or diamond rank or something. And when I queue up, I get matched with people that are like sort of know what they're doing. But if you queue up and you're bronze rank, for instance, all of the tricks you've seen people do in high rank don't work because your team is not going to support you in it because they don't know. So it's going to feel like it's not the same. You can get inspired to try Crystalline Conflict, but the Crystalline Conflict I'm playing is not the same Crystalline Conflict that you're playing. Makes it a little harder to relate to, I guess. Did that machinist just let himself die slowly? Uh-oh. We need to either abandon or run for cover. And the answer was abandon and run for cover. Ow. But yeah, we could also, like, sometimes I've streamed just doing dailies. That's also an option. I don't know what that Black Mage is running so much for. Yeah, I had a feeling something like this was gonna happen. We don't really have the consistent damage to stop him. So have you gotten some good groups in Fantasor, Pokeshag? Oh. Save the guarding one. You just got in your second bonus party. Ah, okay. The curse of being a DPS. I'm going to spam dungeons. Queue time, 20 minutes. Oh, he's looking for the whoopsie. Here it comes. I could just see the cheater buff on them, and then they just stopped and watched for people to hit them. I might have been able to stop them by using Miracle of Nature, but I wasn't entirely sure. Oh dear. We don't have the cover limit break. We have to make them shoo by virtue of just smacking them lightly. Oh. I was hoping people would just dash in to get the last hit when they saw someone with like 10% health. I'm not going to go behind their lines like that. Oh, here comes the Sidewinder. Can we help them? Maybe? Oh, cheated. Run away. I just don't want to play with the samurai when they use cheating at all. I don't want to be the whoopsie. Oh. No, you don't get to use limit break. I'm just going to crowd control you, mate. Also you. Now we're cooking with gas. Oh, Samurai uses cheating? I'll just smack you anyway and stun you in the last moments where you're choosing your limit break target. Oh. We have to back out a little bit. And we don't get squished. We also would prefer to engage the blue team, if we can. Nice battle high five. On someone else, not me. So close, but not enough. Oh, there's the whoopsie. Now he had nothing left. Nothing to deter me from attacking him. So who won? Okay, Immortal Flames won. It's a little funny. Level up! And you lost. That's not bad. Wow! We've gotten the first repeat level up. And in the endless grind at the end. But I do think that maybe a mentor roulette stream might be funny. But I'm not entirely sure. It might be worth doing some mentor roulettes to see what we end up with on average. Last time I did it, I remember one time where I landed in Sephiroth Extreme and we didn't complete it. We tried for the entire timer, and I specifically recall the timer taking out with my corpse, like out in the pools next to the arena because of a knockback. It is pretty funny that to unlock Mentor Roulette, you have to have completed, well, all of the content that appears in Mentor Roulette. But there isn't actually a requirement to have done the content in the difficulty that it is intended, which means that I think the vast majority of people that are in the Mentor Roulette have done the content at some point. The likelihood that they've done it when it was current or done it down like synced is extremely unlikely, which means that often the first time people are put into the position of having to understand the exact boss mechanics of the encounter itself is when they queue into it in Mentor Roulette. And this is part of the reason why often you'll hear mentors recommend new players to not queue for extreme content. Just don't queue for it, because the majority of people that will join you are either other first timers that are also not capable of beating it, or mentors that are not prepared to beat it. Is this person also queuing for Frontline, I wonder? It's pretty funny. He's just running around on the ship. I think also one thing to keep in mind regarding mentor roulettes is that the vast majority of people even bothering to do them in the first place do it to set out to get them out, I believe. The majority will do it for that. I think there's a few that are doing mentor roulettes just for the fun of it. The insanity of being able to queue for a queue that is pretty much anything. It's not just leveling, it's not just expert, it's not just trials or alliance or normal raid. It is the only way to just, you know, say, give me anything, and then you'll land somewhere. I think the only stuff you can't land in is like Savage content. I think Savage content is not part of it. And here we go again. But hey, if speaking of crystalline conflict, as I was talking about a little bit before, if you're interested in crystalline conflict ranked, like you want to see that really high rank badge, my advice to get started is to just put a requirement like that you need to play a certain amount of matches every X days. Like, it could be every day, it could be every week, whatever. The point is that rather than just going, I'll play some at some point, putting the strict requirement that you have to play, I don't know, like 5 matches every day, if you have a life schedule where that is a possibility, for instance, will mean that even if you're not really feeling it, if you're able to stick to your schedule in this case, you'll be able to eventually get really good at it. When I got to the crystal rank in season 1, I had like a strict minimum requirement that I had to play 10 matches every day. And that was tough sometimes. But I did manage to do it. And hey, Fast Day, are you ready to rumble? Yes. We're cutting ice sculptures, as you can see. Being creative in these cold times, yeah. Uh-oh. I think we're going to be dead in these cold times if I don't make a move on it right now. Whoop, 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 whoop. Can we save anyone on the way out? Run, 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 run. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. And that would be my advice. Of course, getting to crystal rank isn't supposed to be easy. Putting 10 matches worth of time into it every day or night doesn't mean that you will become crystal rank, because there's also, you know, there's a time constraint. You need to do it in a certain time frame. But it is vastly better, like significantly more likely that you're going to get a high rank than if you look at it and feel a little anxious about doing ranked. And I've said this before on stream. The best you can do in ranked is try your best. Fortunately, it is actually bannable to be mean to your teammates in crystalline conflict. So if someone starts like sending you tells after the match because you made a mistake, you can report them. It's actually them that is in the wrong the instant they start contacting you after the match. So if you're afraid of that part, that also is mostly covered. Since you can't use chat in crystalline conflict, people can't rage at you in the match either. The best they can do is emote at you and mark you, and that is also bannable. Like, if you do it excessively. It's not, of course, not bannable, reportable to mark someone. But yeah, what I mean to say is that the rules of the game are in such a way that you should be safe. You should feel safe trying out crystalline conflict ranked if you would like to try it. It's optional. No one has to be some PvP master. Not at all. In fact, I'm not. I'm pretty sure that I reached crystal rank in Season 1 by the sheer force of will and a bit of luck. And not through being some hyper genius at the game mode. Uh-oh. Oh, north. That's a little bit problematic. I thought we were more. So now I'm suddenly in a very precarious position because I did as was suggested in the chat, in the in-game chat, of course. It's not unusual in the fields of glory that people are getting too focused on just beating the other teams in combat. Bye. Run, Forrest! Run! Yeah, that sounds about right. I just got rolled over. I should just not have gone for that that call. But I genuinely thought that the amount of people on my team were more. In that battle specifically, I mean. That is very awkward. Someone marks ignore the paladin and then immediately goes kill the paladin. Ah! They perfectly guarded my Miracle of Nature. Hold this. Kill the ninja. Thank you. Thank you. We're in such a good spot to kill a Battle High 5. I was, for a moment there, I was scared that we weren't gonna do it. And Pokecheck says, Small Dragon is dressed for the cold? I just remembered how you always mentioned Giselle that she was not wearing the right clothes. Well, so the Small Dragon always wears shorts, but other than that, I'd like to argue that her signature coat is very warm. Fair enough, have a nice day. Oh. I see an enemy that has a battle high and is in a precarious position. I'll do everything to make sure they don't get to run away. Just finish them. The only way we'll be able to turn this around, I think, and win is by like doing our best to rob the enemies of battle highs. That is the best way to like inflict permanent damage to an enemy team. Is to like say, oh, this guy has a battle high too. So if we kill him or her, then he'll drop to battle high 1. And given that as a white mage, my best skill is in shot calling with Miracle of Nature. Then focusing on whoever's an easy target in that way is helpful. I'm a little unsure about this position. Can we turn this into a lot of kills? Maybe, not really. Looks like people already were ready for that. Okay, we got 1. Then 2. Oh. That gets a little scary. Don't really like camping in the enemy space. Ow, because this happens. I hear a ninja, I'm probably dead. Pokecheck is level 87. Time to spam Kittisis Hyperborea. It's a really wild name. I pretty much have to look up the name every time I write it anywhere, because I can't remember how to spell it. Hyperborea. Would you like to borrow an extra vowel? Excellent. Yep. Whether we win or not is entirely dependent on us keeping red team from getting any of the ice crystals that are spawning now, while simultaneously getting some for ourselves, and that's basically impossible. Red team wins if they get one, and there's reds up there. And reds coming at us from behind. Hey, hold these! Oof. Fashday sending memes in the Discord. Remember, if you would like to be part of the Discord community for the channel, there's a link in the pinned message in the live chat. That is of course optional. It's not like you're missing out on specific news and such. But maybe there's something funny happening. Also, is this someone on the stream? Or is it just a random person that happens to be a wanderer? Because that's a little peculiar. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. Hello, Fantasor. How are you doing? It wouldn't happen to be you that I'm sitting here with? Just given the timing? Oh, it is you. Well, hello there. I don't know if you're familiar with me or just happened to find me tonight. But I guess welcome on the stream. And Fashday says, on the Discord it is also possible to ask questions which, yes, I usually will get back to and answer. Which could be a simple discussion or question or guidance or even just something funny that could ultimately result in content that I'll get deeper into. But that does not mean that you couldn't just, you know, leave the question on a video. I get back to video comments when I see them, pretty much. And Fantasor says, I saw your name in an earlier match and was curious if you were alive. Oh, so you knew my channel and saw that I was here, or and recognized the name? Is that how it was? But that's funny. Wait a minute. This person pretty much only does PvP when streaming. And they're in a match with me right now. I wonder. I do a little bit of PvP off stream, but it's like 99% of the PvP I've done in the last months have been on stream. But that's funny. I've actually, in the past few days, I've had more people approach me in game, and I think it's really it always makes me really happy when people go up and talk with me even in game. I don't want to be like the streamer that no one can talk to. Or approach for that matter. And Pokeshack is still over there like, man, if only I could visit the data center. What you could do, Pokeshack, if you wanted to, is you could make a character on a European data center and just play it for a little bit. That would at least enable you to visit the stream when you feel inspired to do so. In the meantime, you'll have to wait for the worldwide travel. Pokeshack says, I tried that on your birthday, but I couldn't enter. Aww. Well, it is a little difficult. Here's a tip. And I think Fashday sort of had to deal with that. The way that character creation works in Final Fantasy XIV when you want to be on a specific server is really, really awkward. Because at any one moment, there's usually like 1 or 2 servers on every data center that allows the creation of new characters. Like, this flips between the entire server list throughout the day, or at times it feels like it flips throughout the hour. Like, you will see that, oh, this server is too full for new characters, and then 10 minutes later it's suddenly available. In fact, as I recall, when Fashday made his character on Louis Soir, I checked the servers as he was like designing his character, and it explicitly said that it was not allowed to make a new character on Louis Soir. And then when he finished character creation, well, it let him make it. And lo and behold, I checked the list again and it had changed to allow a new character. Something like that. Now you might think that's a ridiculous way to design server queues and stuff like that for character creation, but the reasoning for doing this is to like balance out the amount of characters that are on each server, so that not one specific server is completely overwhelmed while all the other ones are like just hanging out with no problems. That's why it doesn't really matter what server you play on. If you play in like the evenings of the region that you're playing in, so if you're playing in Europe and you're playing around the time where I stream, then you're almost 100% chance that you're gonna land in a lock-in queue. And it doesn't matter what server you're on. If you're on the most popular server, then you might have a slightly longer queue, but in most cases, because you can do, you know, server visits and data center travel and all this stuff now, you can pretty much just jump to a server that is less full if you just want to play now. Which is also a possibility. Oh look, Public Enemy is back! I remember Public Enemy from last week. I think it was last week, or was it the week before? Oh, I think it was the week where we were playing Reaper, so that's 2 weeks ago. That was Public Enemy, who was a fellow Reaper. That was really funny. And Fashday says, yeah, that's exactly how it went, and my plan was to idle and camp my creation until the server should open. The fortunate thing about the character creation in Final Fantasy XIV is that there is like a save button, so that you can save the character design, so that if say, you were trying to make a character when the server was full, you can design your character from start to finish and then just save the design and then come in later and create the character when it isn't full anymore. So there's a lot of things to work around. The reason why I think it's not that it's very confusing and complicated is mostly because most people that have problems with a mechanic like this are new players, you know, that don't know this, and so would find it very confusing, and they want to play with their friends on that particular server. Like, it's just a perfect storm of unfortunate events if you happen to try to make a character on your friend's server at that specific time. Fastday says, why not just allow queuing up your character creation? Well, if you could queue up the creation of your character, then I think what would happen is that you would start seeing on the more popular servers, there would just be like a 1,000 character queue on that server permanently. So new like, unless you already were going to play on that server a long time ago, you're not going to be making a character on the new on the most popular server. That's just not happening. That's why the entire point of basically what they're doing is that they're doing like queue flow. They're forcing the queue to move in a specific way by closing and opening doors all over the place. Can we get a few of them at least? I went out of my way to crowd control like 3 or 4 people and we only get 2? That better not be right. Destroy him! Yeah, I think that's the reason why Fastday is because if you could queue a character to be created, then what prevents me from, like, queuing a character on every server? Fastday says, could simply be that when it is your turn, you have a certain amount of hours or days to activate it, otherwise you lose it, and you can only have one going at a time. Well, the way that I meant it is more that usually if a server is excessively overburdened with players that want to be on it, and so by extension they they're less likely to be open because they keep getting queues. Like the instant that the server opens, someone tries, like, makes a character and closes the window again, right? Now, if you could just queue a character in this system, this idea for a system, then the people amongst this horde of people that wants to play on this particular server, there will be some among them normally that would, you know, go, oh, the server's full, it's fine, I'll just play on a different server, I don't actually care that much, it's fine, I can just visit your server, right? It'll be fine. And then just do that. Those people will feel less inclined to do that when they know they can, you know, just enter the queue, and then they'll get their character created when it's possible. And now I don't know exactly how the system works. It feels a little random at times. But let's say that the server that opens needs to get like 10 characters made on it, then the door closes and a different one opens. Let's say that's how it works, just for the sake of example. Well, in that case, the server that is most popular will have 100 characters in queue. All the other servers might have like 20, 30, 40, but then there's that one server that is always open because no one wants to make a new character on the new server. That one is just not going to have the 10 characters it needs for the gates to, like, rearrange if you can just queue up for the server that you want. You're just not going to go to the new server if you can just wait for the server of your choice to eventually be open, and now we're dead. And Pokejack says, haha, I'm on Louis now, but I don't want to begin other characters. I do that like 5 times until I'm bored of the beginning of a run with on. How do you mean? Do you mean that you have actually done that, or was that like a reference to what I'm talking about? Seeing the sprout over your head is weird. Yeah, exactly. Now you know the feeling of playing small Kai. Oh, this is a little bit of a mess. Apparently, we're in the lead, but I don't feel like I'm in the lead. In Projectors, I have started like 5 characters for various reasons. Ah, okay. I've had a grand total of 3 characters myself, where one of them is Kai here, and another one is small Kai on Alpha, and then the third one is technically the original first one, which was my Catboy that I made on the free trial, which back when I started lasted until level 35. Exactly, Chaiji Kaitsu. Because my naming schemes are incredibly creative, as you can hear. Uh-oh. I think we're going to get sandwiched. But as I've said before on stream, it is better to agree on a really stupid strategy than not have a strategy. And right now our strategy is to kill this crystal. Oh, we got one. No! So I got stun locked and ninja limit break on me at the same time. So for those not in the know on the PvP stuff, the ninja limit break does like 10,000 damage. That's not particularly impressive, but if you have less than 50% health, you just die. Normally, you like the damage that an attack does in PvP is exactly the amount of damage that it's going to do. But in Frontline, which is what we're doing now, of course, all ranged jobs take 30% less damage, and all melee jobs take 60% less damage. So basically what that means is that that ninja limit break is doing 7,000 or 4,000 damage, depending on who you use it on. But if you have 50% health, then it jumps to do anywhere between, well, effectively 24,000 to 32,000, depending on how much health you happen to have on your job of choice. And when everything is like scaled like that because of damage reduction multipliers, 30,000 damage is an absolutely astronomical amount of damage. Which is why ninjas are really scary in Frontline. Like I talked about earlier tonight, that if you hear the sound of a ninja, check your health bar. If you have less than 50% health, you might as well be dead. Pokeshak says, other days, when I know you're in, Limsa, I'll go to bother you with my new character, Pokeshak. Go for it. That'll be really funny. Hey, oh, I got the kill. Excellent. Yoink. What's the aim? I'm guessing we're going for the crystal there. Wham! And ninja limit break. I looked away from my health bar for a second. And I died. Oh yeah, we win! Excellent! So how did we do? We did not a lot of damage to the crystals. All things considered, we didn't do that much damage to enemies either. Got a decent amount of assists. Basically we didn't do... I don't know if I'm supposed to expect that I'm doing way more damage. I think I could make that number significantly higher if I used my limit break a lot more. Actually, just a moment. Oh, never mind. And Poke says, I have 4 characters. A main, and a Rothgar, and your Vieira to start with your friend. And now you have a Poke Shack. And Poketrick says, I would like to go to Wolf's Den Pier, but it requires me to get to self-management and rent company. Oh yeah, that's true. No, you would need to do more than that, because you need to be level 30 and have a soul crystal. So, just as a little... I have briefly mentioned this before, but when you guys decide to actually poke me in game, you get to have a chest piece that matches mine. I know, incredible. It's dyed pink and it's created by me, so it actually has my name on it if you check the item. Whether you want to use it for something, or whether you just think it's funny to have, or maybe you just choose to sell it. That's not for me to decide. But I think it's a fun way to have something to share in. So I always do that. And sometimes I forget. So if you've heard me say this, and you're like, actually I wanted the thing, then you just have to remind me, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's true, and then I'll go to the summoning bill and grab one. And in case, now, Luna Small here just asked what dye it is. The dye that I use for, like, pretty much everything is cherry pink dye. The way that you get it is the first option is that you can buy it in the firmament in Ishgard, which means that you have to do like crafting or gathering. Let me just, Luna Small said be right back, so I'll just give them a chance to come back if they had something they wanted to show me. But yeah, you can get it from the firmament in Ishgard, which means you have to do crafting or gathering to get it. Or you can buy it with Seafarer's Curry. I believe Seafarer's Curries, the blue curries from Island Sanctuary. So, given that I've gotten everything from the Island Sanctuary, and I get a very significant amount of curries every day, or at least every week, I have one and only one thing to spend it on. Which is why I have 200 cherry pink dye now. And I'll slowly make my way up to 300 and then 400, and then eventually I'll have a full stack, and that will be a funny day. And then of course the third option, as Pokejack says, buy it from the market board. The reason why I'm mentioning the first options, or the other options first, is simply because I believe cherry pink dye is like 10,000 gil each. 10,000 isn't that bad. It's it's not what's it, pure white dye or jet black, where like I believe those are typically like 400,000 or something like that. But 10,000 is still a little steep for a single piece of dye, and I think some people have asked me about it because they think it's interesting to do, or to show me that they have cherry pink dyed gear and stuff like that, and I really love to see it, don't get me wrong, but I do understand that that spending, I don't know, 50,000 gil for something that, for an outfit you might not ever use after showing it to me, maybe is a little steep. Oh, look at that! And now we have a matching outfit. There we go. And Pokeshak says, yeah, but I don't do crafting. And it hurts, but it's not like jet black or pure white sip. True. But there's also the good news, is that if you unlock the firmament, then there is the Skyrise celebration, which is like every third day. There is like every hour or so. I can't remember. I think it's every other hour or something like that. I think it's every other hour. It's been a while since I researched this. I think it's every other hour. There is like a streak of, I think it's 6 fates, and I believe it's called fates, either fates or fetes. I believe it's French. It's not surprising because it's Ishgard and it's Ellison, and Ellison tend to be French, or have French names. But this content gives you like presents that contain items that could be cherry pink dye. They also contain, like, you also get currency, which you can use to buy cherry pink dye if you want to. But to do these fits, all you have to do is switch to a crafter or gatherer. You don't actually have to do any crafting or gathering, you just have to be a crafter or gatherer job to participate. So you can be a level 1 crafter technically. That's what you want to do. But it means that you would have a way to participate in the firmament without a crafter. Or gatherer, for that matter. And I should mention that that is, I believe, one of Zip's primary money-making strategies. If I remember correctly, he tries to do fets whenever he can. So that is a strategy to make some money. It's not like, you know, knowing the market levels of money where you just flip things and make a fortune or craft a whole bunch of items that you know is worth a lot. Like these kinds of strategies that I have mentioned before on stream, that if you ask me how to become rich, the best I can suggest is like general strategies that always work, like, oh, farm a material, do roulettes and do the adventure in need, that gives you some money. There's the challenge log that gives you some money. Things like that. Because if you asked for what makes a lot of money, most of it is like, you have probably heard it 100 times if you watched a lot of money making guides. You will have heard, oh, you just need to research the markets, figure out what's selling when it's close to like a new raid tier, having a lot of materia to sell can be helpful. Like stockpiling on items that sell a lot at specific times of like the week, month, year can give you a lot of money if you know when that is. Like this puts the prerequisite that you already know, and that kind of defeats the purpose of asking, how do I make a lot of money? How do I make a lot of money? Know the market. How do I know the market? Well, you probably have a lot of money if you know the market, right? Because you've already flipped on it. You already know what sells when. If you already know the market, then you don't need me to tell you. Because it's obvious. That's why my money-making guide, the one that I made, is on extremely mundane things that I think the only requirement that can prevent you from using it is that you haven't progressed far enough in the game to use some money-making strategy. Or, for instance, doing daily roulettes and specifically being the adventurer in need is really difficult to benefit from if you're using your daily roulettes to level a specific job. Or if you don't like playing a specific role. Like if you like to play DPS, then using adventurer in need to make money is practically impossible. Hey Robert, how are you doing? I'm just talking a little bit about money making randomly because we're talking about dye and buying things. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that one of the easiest ways to make a lot of money is, and this is I would say a little bit actual advice on money making, is you don't need to have a level 90 crafter. You don't need to have like everything maxed out. If you have like a level 80 crafter in terrible gear even, that's fine. If you discover a glamour item like a chest piece that people like, or it could be a housing item that people buy often, if you can find a way to produce this item in bulk, like either you have found found out that the materials that you need to make it are really cheap and it sells for a lot, or maybe the materials to make some of the materials like the pre-craft components are cheap, which again ultimately means that you can make it really cheaply and thus get a lot of profit. That way you can make an item that can earn you a lot, and if it sells often, then it means that you can just keep crafting it. The main way that I make, like, outside of, you know, just playing the game and making a little bit of money here and there, that typically is spent on teleporting, buying things that I need for something in a video or whatever. Just, you know, general upkeep. The money that I make outside of that is like, I just craft 1 or 2 specific items that are really easy to make and sell those. And the thing is that if I told you what the item was, and you can probably guess what the item is by just I might have randomly shown on a stream by accident. But if you figure out what the item is, or if I tell you what the item is, it immediately stops being profitable. because then everyone knows. That is why a gold making guide or guild making guide, so to speak, a money maker cannot be specific in this particular aspect, like say what item it is specifically that works, because the instant that that is named, it no longer works. It's that easy. Robert says, I'm good, super busy day at work today. Always interested in guild making techniques. But yeah, that's basically anything that I could say is likely something you have heard. If you watch guild making guides, you've probably heard it before. Uh-oh. I was at like the tip of that limit break. And hey Skullwolf, how are you doing? I didn't actually mean to use Seraph Strike there. Pretty good. That's good to hear. I hope, Robert, that even if it was a busy day, I hope it was still a good day. I think like a busy day at work can both be good and bad. It sort of depends on how it was busy, right? Nope, we want to get away. That's the scary one. When you target someone randomly in a crowd and then you see that they're looking at you specifically. No! The ninja limit break. Oh, got one. Just shoot randomly into a crowd. Sometimes it works. And Pokeshak got his first Kitsis Hyperborea. Let's hope you got a good team. No! Luna died. I don't think I can save that guy. Maybe. It seems like we have a lot of healing. Maybe we can do it. Run. Yeah, did you see that? If I had waited a fraction of a second longer with clicking my potion, I would have died to the ninja. He saw me. He saw that I was under 50% health. He gave it a moment because he wasn't sure if I was gonna heal myself. And then he missed his chance. And Robert says, putting out fires with a group of people. So a lot of work that had to be done right now, but a good group of people with which to do it. Well, that does sound like a pretty good day then. That was a confusing target mark. Marking the invulnerable Dark Knight. How about the invulnerable paladin, eh? Like, I appreciate that someone is using the target marker, but they're being a little bit generous with it. And Skullbull says he's half tempted to join the next round of PvP, but knowing me, I'd just die a lot. And I haven't done PvP in months, so I'm rusty. Well, have you done PvP a lot ever? Not to be mean, but it's more like you have to, like, everyone has to start somewhere. So whether you're rusty or whatever, it doesn't matter. It depends on whether you want to try. This is also the reason why, when I was talking about earlier, that if you oh, where's... Oh boy. Oh boy. I'll just run over the crossfire. Woo! Ow. This is an awkward position to be in. And now it's not an awkward position to be in anymore. Shouldn't have used my limit break there. There was a bunch of people that had already spent their Purify and was immune to stuns at that very moment. Oh, this is difficult. I had a really hard time targeting. Get out of here. Oh boy. Yeah, I was talking about earlier is that if you want to get the really good at PvP, and especially if you want to get good at ranked PvP in Crystalline Conflict, my best advice would be to force yourself to like do daily or weekly amounts of PvP. Like it could, and it has to be ranked Crystalline Conflict in this particular example. So that means that it could be every Monday or every Wednesday, or it could be every day if you want to. Anything you like. But you have to make it a consistent requirement that you do, say, every Monday you do 5 Crystalline Conflict ranked matches. The reason why that is helpful is if you make it a requirement that you do it. If you can just manage to like soldier through forcing yourself to do that, then there's a much higher chance that you will actually practice PvP. And the more you practice PvP, the better you get at it. And if the reason why you didn't do PvP is that you were bad at it, then eventually you will no longer have that reason. There's no point in chasing that individual character all this way. They're literally wasting our time. That could be better spent attacking this crystal. Robert says, since I just learned about it, will you be putting out anything about the upcoming event before the patch? Has Square Enix put anything out about the event? Like, do you mean the Moogle Treasure Trove event? Or do you mean the Christmas event that is likely to happen? Ah, the Moogle Treasure Trove. I don't know. I thought about doing something. I could do something. It's like... I can tell you a little bit about it right now, actually. The reason why it is not unusual that like players that have played for a long time will just like almost like just act like it's obvious what it is. Is because it is a tradition that the Moogle Treasure Trove happens 1 month before a major patch. Something along those lines. So it means that the players that have played long enough to see the Moogle Treasure Trove happen like 2 or 3 times will be like, oh, well, we know that a new major patch is coming in January. That means that Moogle Treasure Trove is happening in December. And that means that, let me put it like this, the only surprise to me when I saw the Moogle Treasure Trove is that Aurum Vale will not give any Mog Tomes. But now that you've mentioned it, Robert, I think I will try to say something about it. The question is how much I'll say about it, but I think I'll put out a little something about it, because of course there's a lot of players that have that have been here in the game for little enough time that they have never seen the treasure trove happen, or when it happened they weren't high enough level to possibly care. They just, you know, oh, well, I just reached, I don't know, Castrum Meridianum, and for some reason it gave me, like, these Mog Tomes, or whatever they are. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them, and I only have, like, 5. What can I do with that? And then it just turns into nothing specific. And then the event ends. Skullwolf, did you want to join? Or did you just want to hang out here in Wolf's Den Pier? And Luna writes in-game. Let's see. Will the Christmas event start around the same time as the Moogle event? I don't know. If it is intended to happen at the same time, I imagine they would have announced it at the same time. When did the Christmas event happen last year? Oh, wait. Last year is actually a terrible example, because last year they pushed, I believe they pushed Halloween because of things that got in the way, and that by extension pushed the Christmas event, if I remember correctly, because they also didn't want everything to like land on top of each other. So we had Endwalker release, Christmas event, new raid tier, Halloween, like all of these things just drop at the same time. Was not super duper healthy for people that don't want to miss out on things. But what is it? What is it the Christmas event is called in Final Fantasy XIV? Starlight Celebration. It looks like that wasn't actually delayed. It was December 16th to December 31st, and was from Thursday the 16th to Friday the 31st. So I'm guessing that they might announce the Christmas event in a few days. And it'll probably be on the 16th. But hopefully. Oh, that means when the Christmas event happens, we'll have to do the Christmas event quests on Small Kai Adventures on the Rewind streams. So hopefully it happens so that there's a decent chance that I can do that. And Also, I can just say this preemptively. I'm not going to be streaming the MSQ stream on Christmas Eve. I'm thinking of doing something to have a stream before Christmas. But I'm not entirely sure when that's gonna be. But I'll look into if I can make a little something about the Moogle treasure trove, Robert. Thank you for bringing it up. We can also just talk a little bit about it now while we're waiting anyway. So the interest in doing the Moogle treasure trove is that it gives you the opportunity to get some extra items out of content you might do anyway, or it gives you the opportunity to farm content that is somewhat easy or at least reliable to get a currency that allows you to buy items that would normally be either A, difficult to get, B, annoying to get, or C, impossible to get. Just as an example, on on the upcoming event, there's this mount called the Falcon. It looks like a ship, like an airship almost. You can only buy this mount from the Moogle treasure trove because it used to be a lock-in reward at some point years ago, and now you might be saying, a lock-in reward? Final Fantasy XIV does not have a lock-in reward, and you would be right. I have no idea when this lock-in reward was, but I looked into it. I did some research of my own. I went, which of these mounts do I not have? What is this Falcon? Which means that if there's one thing, if you would want to farm Morg Tomes for this particular event, and you only have time to farm enough for one thing, that should be the thing, because we don't know when you'll be able to get it again. And of course the Moogle event starts on next Monday? Starts on Monday? And then the Moogle that sells the items for the Tomestone, for the Morg Tomes, should be updated to contain this Falcon mount for the newest Tomestones. There's also other things you can buy. One thing that is really common is that there's 1 or 2 mounts from the A Realm Reborn Beast Tribes, which is extremely funny because those items are typically the only reason you would do the A Realm Reborn Beast Tribes. And that's why a lot of people don't bother. Why do them when you can just use Morg Tomes every few months to buy them? And then eventually you'll get them. But yeah, that's like the very, very broad strokes about the Morg Tomes. One thing that makes me a little unsure about what I would say in a video about it is that usually for every season of a Moogle treasure trove, people discover some extremely broken farming strategy that makes it really easy. But usually people discover that on like day 2 or day 3 of the Moogle treasure trove, which means that if I make a video about this subject before it comes out, then it will not be able to include that, because people usually discover or share these strategies after testing them, which means that they need to test them first. One particular one is that I believe, I can't remember if it was the treasure trove 2 seasons, 2 major patches or 3 major patches ago, but there was one in particular where the second encounter in the Binding Coils of Bahamut, like the one with all the orbs in the big labyrinth, people discovered a way to use blue mages to clear this in less than 1 minute. In less than 1 minute. And because they gave 2 tomestones per clear, that meant that you could farm an absolutely insane amount of tomes per hour. Like, I remember I joined a group doing that and got every single item that I wanted in 2 hours. Something like that. Red team is really aggressive. And Robert says, I just finished the Realm Reborn Beast Tribes. Well, the good news are, have you done the quest for the final, like a bit of the Beast Tribes where they give you a fancy mask? Have you done that one? Because that one you cannot buy for mock tomes. So there's always something. Uh-oh. This is a weird match. This is a weird match. So the thing is that the way that people did this second encounter of Binding Coils is that they would just make a party finder group of 8 blue mages, and then they would just do it. And the instant that you weren't ready, you just leave and come back later. I know that some people use this strategy to farm MGP, you know, for the gold saucer. Because if you can get that many tomes per hour, that means you can translate that directly to MGP, and some items require an absurd amount of MGP, so people would farm for that. Robert says, I did that quest too. Wanted to wrap those quests up with a nice little bow and be done with them for good. Yeah. The thing that is really funny about the mask for the A Realm Reborn Beast Tribes is that, in my opinion, the A Realm Reborn Beast Tribes are the ones that are the most time consuming, most inconvenient to do, most annoying, because they also sometimes would require that you do a fate to do, which meant that you had to wait for the fate to spawn and things like that. Despite all that, it's the one that takes the final quest that takes the most work to reach, and ultimately that's the one that awards a mask. Just a mask. Actually, a half of a mask, if we're going to be super pedantic about it. Just half a mask. And you can't even dye it. It's just half a mask. Meanwhile, the Heavensward reward is a dance emote. The Stormblood one, I believe, is also a dance emote. I think. The Shadowbringers one didn't have like a combined final. But at least one of them gave you a dance emote. In comparison, A Realm Reborn gives you a mount that you can buy for mock tomes. I was sitting here for a little bit like, how's the samurai healing so much? But then it hit me that it's because he's healing from the paladin putting his ability on the crystal. Well, I tried. And Robert says, since mount farming has become something I'm doing, I will for sure be trying to get that falcon mount you were talking about. So the main tactic that I know that people have used for years to do mock tomes, and that's why I mentioned Aurum Vale. The traditional strategy to farm mock tomes when there isn't like a particularly nice one is that that Aurum Vale, I believe, would normally award 4. I think it was 4 mock tomes per clear, and if you used 3 blue mages and a tank, you could usually beat the whole dungeon in like 4 to 6 minutes. Which is so fast that typically the only things that could even remotely compete with something like that were strategies that were even more insane, like this strategy I described that could beat the second boss in Binding Coils in 1 minute. And the reason why that hasn't stayed a strategy is because they haven't offered this encounter as a place you could get mock tomes since. Shoot. Wait, where's our base? We are going to get sandwiched right now. I need like a macro to just say sandwich. Because that is something that you can lose a match on in Fields of Glory, is just getting sandwiched between the 2 other teams. We got out of it this time, luckily. Huh. That looked a lot smoother than I had imagined. I intended to use everything on just the white mage, and then incidentally the white mage died and I automatically targeted the next best target. Did my team just disappear behind me? That was pretty impressive how quickly people just disappeared. Oh. It's fine. It's my mistake. I should have seen it coming. Luna was with me. We go together! Kill them! Please! Why are you ignoring them, guys? Kill the enemies! Hey, don't! I'll just have wasted my limit break. It's okay. That... Which one of them used the knockback? Wait, what are we doing? Are we... Okay, I need to be figuring out how I'm going to escape from this when the enemy sees that we're memeing on their base. Oh, Yeah, for a second there, I was really curious if they're just going to ignore us. We are holding up an actual army right now. This is we're not going to survive this. But it is really funny that we managed to keep them occupied for this long. We're still losing though. We didn't manage to steal their base. Fantasor says we did our it says we did our best. Yeah. Almost. I think we had like 8 people on us. But that was a rough match. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I think we were on 2nd place. Yes, Luna says, or Fantasor says, no clue how we lived that long. Exactly. Somehow they just couldn't manage to, no, so, Skullwolf, what we're talking about is that Luna and I don't know if it was you, well, at least Luna and I went to the red team's base to try and steal it. Unfortunately, like 3 people just came back from spawn as we came there, so that meant that the instant we arrived, we got attacked. And as we tried to run, those 3 people became 4, then 6, and then I think like 7 or 8 people. And we still survived for like a good 30 seconds. And then we promptly lost. It was a weird match. Yeah, it's good. Skullwolf says he was trying to not get killed during most of that. I'm surprised he didn't die too much during the first few minutes. How about Fantasor? Are you ready for one more? I don't want to queue us up if you're not ready. You don't have to play Bard, by the way, if you wanted to play... oh, maybe one more Wi-Fi is getting worked on in our area soon. Might cut out. Do you want to try? The worst that can happen is that you get DC'd, I guess. Or like, do you feel like there's a good chance you might have time for one more? Then we try one more. But yeah, that's a good idea, Robert. To get go specifically for the, as you mentioned, going specifically for the Falcon mount. My tip, just off the top of my head, would be to look at the event notes if you've seen them, or when the event appears, here's a tip. During the Moogle Treasure Trove event, content that awards Moogle Treasure Trove awards, like the tomestones, will have like little Moogle head, like around here, like next to the level requirement. So you can just like scroll down the list of dungeons you have access to and go, oh, I could do this one. Like, I don't mind doing that one for some Mug Tomes, and you need 50 for the Falcon mount, which is a little steep. But here's the thing. I believe you get 5 for winning Frontline and 3 for losing, or something like that. I think it's 3, 4, 5, I guess, for third, second, and first place. So you could literally just do Frontline if you've like that would be an excellent reason to try Frontline. And I know I'm not the only person that has said that. Some of the PvP PvP community people on Twitter have specifically highlighted that, oh, have you considered that you get Mug Tomes for Frontline? And I believe also they also mentioned Rival Wings, but you have to specifically queue for that, and that gets a little janky because there's no daily for it and stuff like that. But still though, the point is that you can do you can just do Frontlines to get Mug Tomes, right? So that's also a reason to do PvP. Skullwolf says, what surprises me is I can't find any info on this login rewards event for the Falcon mount, so I figure it might have been early 2.0 considering the lack of info on it. Well, the thing is that often these kinds of resources, when it's old enough, there's a chance that no one really put a lot of effort into like writing it down. And if you and then also they try to focus on making sure that the resources like database stuff is up to date. If they mention that one of the ways to get an item is from an event or login reward that is so long ago that no one remembers, then it's not super helpful for guidance. Although Gamer Escape usually lists old events as sources. Pokejack says, you can remember how I can obtain causality and astronomy. I finished my Wondrous Tales and I want the MGP, but I don't have too much of these 2 tomestones. So Pokejack, my advice for getting your weekly causality is do this. Expert Roulette gives you 50 causality for either of the newest dungeons if you've reached that far. It also gives you 40 for the daily. And if I remember correctly, as the dungeons themselves gives 80 astronomy, I believe the daily gives like 40 or 50 astronomy in addition. So you get like a really nice bunch. You can also do level 90 dungeon. That gives a decent amount of astronomy. This is for causality and astronomy. So this is actually an interesting little point, is that the reason why I've often done the new MSQ stuff of a patch, like a major patch gets new main story stuff, which means a new dungeon often. The reason why I make a point of doing it on patch day if I can is because I like to have the Expert Roulette available, because it is it's the simplest, most reliable way to get your weekly causality. And if you're not spamming content that gives causality, like for instance Frontline, then you need to actually actively go out of your way to farm it. Let's see, Skullwolf says, considering barely anyone mentioned Revenant's Toll actually changed heavily via updates into 2.0 to become what it is today, So it would make sense considering that wasn't documented too much either. There's a lot of things where back in A Realm Reborn things were different. If you look for old information and know what to ask about, then it is there to be found. For instance, how I discovered that that hit chance used to be a thing. Like, some of you may have heard in some of my fun facts at the end of my videos, and if you haven't heard, fun fact, there's a fun fact at the end of nearly every single one of my videos. It happens after the thank you part of the video. In at least one video, I have mentioned hit chance as a stat. In A Realm Reborn and I think Heavensward, there was a hit rating stat. And you needed a certain amount of this hit rating to be able to guarantee that your attacks would hit a target. And for DPS jobs, it was mostly like, yeah, just don't ignore the stats. You will find plenty of hit chance on your gear, typically, I believe. Tanks presumably also had that, but given that attacking as a healer was an afterthought, it was not unusual that healers had to go pretty heavily out of their way to get enough hit chance to reliably hit the target. Which is also why back then that the whole healers attacking the enemy was less normal. You also needed to switch to a specific cleric stance for your attacks to do any meaningful amount of damage. So it was very complicated. But if you see tank gear or healer gear in A Realm Reborn or Heavensward that has direct hit on it, that is because when they removed hit chance, they added direct hit. So basically, when they removed hit chance, they just replaced hit chance on all gear that had it with direct hit instead. And that's why that in A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, the advice that I give in some of my job guides, that is that tanks and healers will never find direct hit on their gear directly. That is not accurate if you're looking specifically at A Realm Reborn or Heavensward gear. Because back then, they would sometimes find direct hit on their gear. No, they would find hit chance on their gear, which then became direct hit over the years. And Pokeshack reached level 88. Nice. Is it 88 that Black Mage gets the second charge of Sharpcast, or is it something more exciting than that? Yeah, 2 Sharpcast. Well, the thing is that having an extra Sharpcast charge is extremely helpful for making it easier for you to, like, choose when you want it. Oh, there's the whoopsie. Ah, and it got Luna. Oh. I feel like we're not so focused. Where are we going? Everyone pretty much just had only sort of attacked that warrior a little bit. And then when they finally started switching targets, it felt like that was when he had guard ready. So it sort of was too late to get the kill then. Oh. Pokeshak says, I don't like this wondrous I'm guessing you mean wondrous tail? Maybe I'll level all jobs before finishing Endwalker. You don't like doing wondrous tales? I don't know. I stopped doing weekly wondrous tales because on average it doesn't give that much value. It's like if you get the jackpot and get 3 lines, then you have earned something in the ballpark of 20 or more millions if you know how to spend it, like if you know how to use it correctly. But on average you need to do like, I think it's 3% chance for 3 lines, or maybe it's 1%. But basically you need to do so many wondrous tales to get that 3-liner that if you have to do 100 wondrous tales to get a 3-liner, then it's not, oh, you got 20 million. It's, oh, you didn't get 20 million 99 times, and that time you could have spent on something that could have earned you more money. So if you're in it for the money, don't do it. This is wild. Ow. Someone in chat in game earlier said stop running away, attack, and then conveniently we started winning in the exchange. So I'm a little bit worried that the reason why these matches we're having right now feel extremely impossible, like it's almost like the enemy is way stronger than us, is because a lot of people in our raid team is get scared and starts running when they take damage, which promptly means that we lose any exchange where the enemy strikes back. You know, people tend to do that in a PvP setting. They tend to attack. So if your team runs away every time they get hit, you're going to have a problem. Pokeshak says, I saw your guide yesterday and understand how to obtain Paradox, but not how to use it or for what. So, Paradox is just a really good skill in general. It does more damage than Fire 1, and when you're in Astral Fire, it does everything that Fire 1 does, but also does more damage. So in every Astral, like if you're level 90, every time you enter Astral Fire, you sort of want to use Paradox unless you're in like a heavy AoE situation, in which case you would rather switch to Ice and back to Fire quickly. Every time you enter Ice, Paradox is an instant attack that does the same damage as it does in Astral Fire, because it does unexpected damage, which means that it is a really good skill to use, which means that every time you enter Umbral Ice and get Paradox, you want to use Paradox before you switch to Astral Fire. Um, so basically, when you reach level 90 with Black Mage, the key thing that changes about your rotation is that every time you... said so, remember to use your mana! Remember you have an ability that heals you from mana! But yeah, every time on a single target situation, every time that you have a Paradox available, you want to use it. In Umbral Ice, it can be whenever you like. The huge advantage is that it is an instant attack. In Astral Fire, the advantage is that it is better Fire 1. Like, it does everything Fire 1 does. And then also damage. So, if you're in Umbral Ice, Pokeshack, you know how the general rhythm is that you enter Umbral Ice with Blizzard 3. Sebastian, use your heal. You have a full mana. You have full mana. There you go. The reason why I'm specifically pointing at Sebastian is because it's Skullwolf. I know he can hear me. But yeah, so whenever you enter Umbral Ice, you want to use Blizzard 3, and then you want to, at some point, use Blizzard 4 before you exit. And typically you want to fill with one extra action beyond that. That can be Thunder 3, it can be Xenoglossy cast, it can be both. But when you're level 90, it can also be Paradox. And given that you should use Paradox every time you enter Umbral Ice, it means that you should always use Paradox. And the way this affects your rotation is that you can now choose not to use Thunder 3 or Xenoglossy. Basically, you can save Xenoglossy for when you need it for movement, for instance. Or you can and you can save Thunder 3 Thundercloud proc specifically for when you want to reapply Thunder 3, and you don't have to use it just for some filler attack. Well, we tried. I think that was the last match for me. Don't know about you guys. Luckily, Fantasor didn't DC out due to Wi-Fi issues. It's okay, Skullwolf. The reason why I'm saying this is so that you learn. And you said that you were very new and rusty to PvP, so the only way to learn is to get, like, to try. And keep in mind that Recuperate, it just costs MP, and you have no other actions that cost MP. So you want to make sure that you use it. If you need health, click it. Especially if you're trying to escape, there's a chance you could survive. You also have a handful of other tools, like Guard. But that's a little bit more complicated how you use it. That's true, Skullwolf. The reason why I started calling it out was because I saw you run away with a full MP bar and an empty health bar. And you died next to me. That's where it was a little glaringly obvious. Because the thing is, you died because you didn't use your heal. Yeah, Paradox is I don't know, do I not talk very much about how to use Paradox in my Black Mage guide? Really? I thought I did. That's not good. If you leave the Black Mage guide and go, so when do I use Paradox exactly? Let's see here. Bringing up the manuscript. At level 90, your elemental gauge is expanded with the Paradox marker. When you enter Umbral Ice from Astral Fire 3 or Astral Fire from Umbral Ice 3 with 3 Umbral Hearts, you get the Paradox marker. The Paradox marker is spent on the new spell Paradox, which both Blizzard 1 and Fire 1 turns into while you have the Paradox marker. For the Astral Fire state, this doesn't change much, as Paradox replaces the Fire 1 cast you would do anyway in Astral Fire. In Umbral Ice, Paradox is instant and does a significant amount of damage, so you want to make time for this spell. In every Umbral Ice state on 1 or 2 targets. Since you already had plenty to do in Umbral Ice, this enables you to not use Xenoglossy in Umbral Ice and save the Polyglot for movement later. It should be noted that Umbral Ice is the best time to spend polyglots if you can plan it out that way. You can also produce the Paradox marker in downtime by using Umbral Soul to reach 3 Umbral Hearts, then transpose twice, and then Umbral Soul back up to 3 Umbral Ice again. And then we go up to the roundup at the end. The long and the short of it is, Pokeshak, that the Umbral Ice state for Black Mage is the weird one. You want to use Blizzard 3 at the start, then you want to use Blizzard 4 at some point, then you want to use at least one filler, and that filler can be anything. Typically it'll be Thunder 3, but if you want to optimize, then you should only want to use Thunder 3 if 1. Thunder is about to run out on your target, or 2. Thunder Cloud is about to run out on you. Because Thunder Cloud has a longer duration than Thunder has. The probability that it is Thunder Cloud that is about to run out is far smaller than the probability that Thunder is about to run out. If you're trying to optimize, then you generally only just use Thunder, and preferably a Thundercloud proc Thunder, whenever Thunder is about to run out. Which does mean that sometimes you have to use Thunder in a really awkward time during Astral Fire, but if you're optimizing, you learn this, you master when it is possible, and then you time it accordingly. And if you're doing it like that, then it means that it is very rare that you'll need to use Thunder during Umbral Ice. On the other hand, saving Xenoglossy for when you want an instant attack, and Xenoglossy, for anyone that isn't entirely confident on their Black Mage spell names, Xenoglossy is the single target polyglot spender. So you get one of those every 30 seconds, and you can have up to 2 of them. And you will get a new one every 30 seconds. Every time. It's like a timer rather than a cooldown. Having this allows you to go, oh, I need to use triple cast, but I'm in Astral Fire, which means that all of my spells have a cast time. So you finish your Fire 4 cast, then you use Xenoglossy, and then you use triple cast, and then you have alleviated the issue of having to weave and clip your next Fire 4 cast because of it. That also means you need to be careful and look at the Astral Fire duration, because that might just run out. But having an instant spell you can use at any time, like Xenoglossy, gives you a lot of room to like weave an ability in the middle of your rotation when you need it. This can be ley lines, triple cast, sharp cast, mana font, mana ward, anything. It could be Addle if you want. But the point is that having those xenoglossy charges or polyglots is super helpful for planning out your rotation and having something if you suddenly unexpectedly or expectedly for that matter suddenly need to move. So yeah, the way that the paradox is introduced into your rotation, Pokeshack, is that at level 89 your Umbral Ice rotation is Blizzard 3, Blizzard 4, something. And that something is usually a Xenoglossy or Thunder 3, and it can be both. It's just that it has to be 3 things. It has to be Blizzard 3, Blizzard 4, and a thing. Minimum. And then you can add however much at the end as you want, but it has to be Blizzard 3, Blizzard 4, and something. And with the introduction of Paradox, it then becomes Blizzard 3, Blizzard 4, Paradox, and then you can just choose if you want to add anything else. You can optionally add Thunder 3, you can optionally add Xenoglossy. That's entirely free that you can do that. But Paradox becomes your reliable filler spell, the one you will always use in Umbral Ice to make it 3. And the reason why you want 3 things in the Umbral Ice state is because, let me just go somewhere where I can actually see my cast times on my normal spells. Is that during Astral Fire 3, Blizzard 3 takes like 1.8, 1.7 seconds or so to cast. Blizzard 4 takes 2.5 seconds to cast. So that gives 4 seconds. To get 2 takes of the Umbral Ice mana region can take anywhere from 3.1 second to 6 seconds. Because Blizzard 3 and Blizzard 4 combines for about 4 seconds, it means that if you add any third spell, it doesn't matter what it is, just a third spell, it'll take 6 seconds. Which means that you will know that you will always get your full MP bar during Umbral Ice. The reason why Thunder 3 is a little problematic in the Umbral Ice is because if you don't have a Thundercloud proc, then it costs MP, and if you use that as the last one, you may not go into Astral Fire with 10,000 MP, but 9,600 MP. Also, I don't know if Skullwolf already left, but I'm just gonna say, see you, thank you for joining for PvP. It's cool that you took the try, even though you knew that you were super rusty about it. But yeah, that also means, given that we're not doing any more Frontlines tonight, that we have reached the part of the stream where you can ask any questions of anything you would like to talk about. And I have a little bit of time to talk about it. Anything you would like to talk about, anything you have questions about. Or maybe we just call it that, but I'll give it a few minutes in case you need to think about a question. Well, I can fill the dead air with some other things. As you can see in a pinned message in the live chat, there is a Discord community Discord server for the YouTube channel. So if you want to talk with these lovely people in the live chat outside of stream times, you can do that there. It also includes an alternative place where I always put the weekly schedule, so you don't have to rely on a YouTube algorithm or a Twitter algorithm to be served the weekly schedule. And similarly, I also put links and announcements every time I post a video, a stream is coming up, anything. So it gives you an option as a single source where you know everything that happens on the channel is going to be announced reliably. No algorithm shenanigans. And then there's me there. And second is that, and the very important thing is that I don't want anyone to feel obligated to do so. I just want to advertise that I have enabled the option to become a member of the channel. That means that for a monetary amount, you can become a member of the channel. The reason why that is enabled is if you think that you would be interested in giving me money. Some people have decided to give me super chats, and I'm so grateful that anyone would even consider that. I would recommend that you instead, like, if the amount that you would want to give me is large enough to cover that, I would suggest that you instead buy a month of membership. Mainly because it means that you get something back. It's not much, but it means that your name gets a special color, you get a special icon, you get access to a few emotes that I made myself. There's not a lot of emotes because actually the amount of emotes I can give you is directly correlated with how many members that there are for some reason. And that's not something I'm making up. It's really weird. And it also gives you some other perks, like, as you may have noticed, your name is going to be on a list at the end of my videos. And right now, there's not a lot of members, so making votes on things would be a little unfair. But when there are a few members, I will probably start to make votes on content to be done. This can be something that we'll be doing on Smallkai, the Rewind Replays. It can be maybe we do something different on a Tuesday. It can be we do something extra. It can be a new video, whatever. But it will be a vote that is exclusively for members, such that it is only people that are very much invested in the channel that gets to have a say, and not random people that get served the poll on YouTube. And I'm just going to reiterate that it's mainly so that if someone feels like they want to give me something, I can give something back. So you should not feel obligated to buy this membership. Don't even start to think that. I appreciate that you're here, watching. And I see Fantasor came on Discord. Welcome. And I think that's the announcements that I have. Other than that, as you may have seen on the schedule, on Friday, we are going to be having a new release of a melee job comparison video, and that's going to be a premiere, so I hope some of you will watch it with me as it releases on the time I usually release videos. I felt like Friday worked a lot better than Saturday, because it means that everyone has like a day to find time to watch the video if they want to see it, and they don't have to, like, if they miss the premiere, then they sit in the awkward position of having to choose between watching the new video or watching me who's live. I feel like that just works better for everyone. So I'm probably going to be doing that for the foreseeable future, have the premieres on Fridays. And then Saturday we're going to finish Heavensward, which means that some amount of the stream is probably going to be Black Mage leveling or inventory cleanup. Hands in the air for inventory cleanup stream. Uh, but I think that's it. There might be coming some bonus videos throughout the week, but that's usually if I find the time to make bonus videos. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask about Paradox or something else, Pokeshack? As I understood it, you were in the middle of a dungeon. At least you were, maybe you still are. Because I don't see anyone else that has any questions. Clean up, please. Well, that could be the stream, that we do Heavensward, and then we finally clean up Small Kai's inventory. It would be nice if we could unlock the opportunity to trade in equipment for company seals. So maybe we'll have to, like, specifically farm company seals with Black Mage. Or even more crazy would be, like, level a tank and a healer and then just spam leveling roulette on the adventurer in need to farm company seals specifically. That could also be a strategy. But we'll see. I don't have anything else to add. So that would be all from me. So thank you all so much for watching, and good night, or good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you all very, very soon. And I just realized that you haven't been able to see my mouse for the entire stream. Wouldn't you know? Guess what? I was recording something yesterday that required that. Sorry about that. Anyway. Good night.